So this video is just for my Year 10 class in March 2020, and we're looking at this paper, which is practice set 1, paper 1, and it's just a few questions that we've done from this paper. So first of all, this one I think most of us got right. -5, -3, 4, 6, 9. The negative numbers go on the left, the positive numbers go on the right. The more negative it is, the further to the left it goes. Just picture it on a number line. And remember, on the number line you count -1, -2, -3 on this way. So what order do they go on the number line from left to right? So there's the correct answer for that one. 430 centimetres into metres. Well, there were 100 centimetres in 1 metre. So that means 430. 400 centimetres is 4 metres. So it's just over 4 metres, 4.3 metres. We need to divide by 100. Because it's centimetres, 100 centimetres in a metre. Changing 0.3 into a fraction, well this, remember, is the tenths column. This is the units column, this is the tenths column. So if this is a 3 in the tenths column, it's 3 tenths. If it was, I don't know, a 7, 0.7, that would be 7 tenths, okay? Changing 0.7 into a percentage, well, we just said 0.7 is 7 tenths. Now percentage is out of 100. So if we change it into hundredths, then we times by 10 on the top, times by 10 on the bottom. That is 70 out of 100, okay? So 0.7 isn't 7%, it's 70%. It's 70 out of 100. 0.4 is 40%. 0.6 is 60%, and so on, all right? It's a 4 in the tenths column, that's 4 tenths. 4 tenths is the same as 40 hundredths. Moving on to the next question, question 5. Got to read this one carefully. This is a stick. The stick is in 3 parts, this part, and this part. The total length of the stick is 30, so that's that distance there. Part A is 16 centimetres, part B is 9 centimetres. What's this length here? So that is 30. Take away this amount here. Well, that's 16 add 9, so let's work out 16 and 9. We don't have a calculator, so let's add them together carefully. 6 and 9 is 15, 1 and 1 makes it 25. So this remaining bit here, if the whole distance is 30, the remaining bit must be 5, because this distance all the way here is 25. So 5 centimetres is what we're looking for there. Question 7. 2 of these pens cost 60p, so that means 30p for each pen. Okay, 2 pens cost 60p, so 30p for each pen. 30 and 30 makes a total of 60. We want to know how much 5 pens cost. Well, 1 pen costs 30p, so it's 5 lots of 30p, which we can do as, not as a bus stop method, sorry, as a, we can do as a grid method, like that. And then 0 times 5 is 0, 3 times 5 is 15, and we get 150, or we could do it as 30 times 5 is 3 times 5, which is 15, and then put a 0 on the end. But remember, that answer at the moment is in pence, so 150 pence, but we want the answer in pounds, don't we? So 150 pence is £1, 50p. Okay. Now then, question 8. The total number of cheese sandwiches sold. So cheese sandwiches are these ones here. There are 6 on white bread. There are 6 on brown bread, so that's 12 in total. And we know it's 6 because if we go along from the 6, that's how high these bars are. It says here, more white bread sandwiches were sold than brown bread sandwiches. Now, we're not talking about cheese sandwiches anymore. We're just talking about all the sandwiches. So how many more white bread sandwiches? Well, here, look. This is how many white bread sandwiches. There were 11. How many brown bread sandwiches were there? There were 10. So for the ham sandwiches, there's 1 more white than brown. So there's 1 so far. With the egg sandwiches, 11 again were sold in white bread. And this one here is halfway between this line and this line. So if we read across, that's 3. So how many more is that? Well, that's 11 down to 3. So that's going to be 8. So there's 1 more there, there's 8 more there, and here we've got the same amount of sandwiches in brown bread and in white bread if they're cheese. So that's 9 more in total. 1 more for ham, 8 more for the egg. Which shape is most likely to be on one of these cards? Well, there's 5 squares, there's 3 circles and there's 1 triangle. So the most likely one is a square, and you can have the mark for writing square or for drawing a square. What's the probability that we take a card with a square on it? Well, there are 5 squares and there are 9 cards, so 5 out of 9. Number 12. So we've got this options of soup or melon for a starter, chicken, fish or omelette. Now people do this one pretty well on the whole. So soup and chicken, soup and chicken they've already given us. Soup and fish is the next option. Soup and omelette is the next option. Now if we have soup, that's chicken, fish or omelette, dealt with those ones. So melon could go with chicken, melon could go with fish, or melon could go with omelette. And those are all our options there. What's the probability that, so if we choose a meal at random, what's the probability that it will be melon and chicken? Well, there are 6 possible meals, and melon and chicken is just one of those options. So that is one option out of 6. So 1/6. Has to be a fraction. Remember, for probabilities, a ratio won't do it. It has to be a fraction. So the cafe has fruit juice as another starter, and Charlie thinks there'll be 1 more meal. Well, if we had that in there, F for fruit juice, then that would mean that we could have fruit juice and chicken, fruit juice and fish, fruit juice and omelette. So there's not just 1 more option, there's 3 more options, okay? (8:45 p.m. in the 12-hour clock). So for a 12-hour clock, you need to take, if it's PM, you need to take the number that's there and add 12 to it. So that is 20:45. 3/4 and 1/8. Well, we need to write these both as the common denominator. Now 4 and 8, the best common denominator to use here would be an 8. They both fit into 8. So we write them both over 8. 1/8 is already over 8, so we just leave it as a 1. 4, to turn that into an 8, I've times it by 2. So 3, I'm going to times by 2 as well. And there's a 6. 6/8 and 1/8 makes a total of 7/8. 4.52 times 36. The best way to do these ones, I always think, is this. Draw yourself a grid method like this. And I've taken the decimal point out for the moment. So 45236. Now, 2 times 3 is 6. So 0, 6, tens units. 2 times 6, 2 there, 6 there, is 12. Tens units. 5 times 3, 1, 5 for 15, tens there, units there. 4 times 3, tens there, units there, the answer is 12. 5 times 6 is 30, 6 times 4 is 24. Now, go down the diagonals. In this one, we've just got a 2. In this one, we've got 6 and 1 and 0, so that's a total of 7. Down here, we've got 5 and 3, that's 8, and 4, that's 12, so I put the 1, 2 for 12. 1 and 2 and 2 and 1, so that's a total of 6, and then 1 down here. So those are the answer, those are the digits in the answer, and now we just have to work out where are our units going to go. Well, one way of doing this is to say, well, this is about 5, and this is about 40. Okay, round the numbers. So 5 times 40 is about 200. So the number's going to be 162.72. I can't put the decimal point here, that'll make it 16 and a bit, and that can't be right because that's 4 times 4 is 16, not 4 and a bit times 36, right? So not 16 and a bit. It can't be over here at 1,627 because then it would have to be 4 times about 300 or about 400. So the decimal point's going to go in there. Another way of doing that is this. 4.52, 36, the decimal point would come after the units column there on this, after the 6. Draw a line down there, draw a line across there, and look at where those lines cross. Follow it down, and that's where your decimal point goes. So 162.72. Like that. Last one on this grid, draw this graph. Now what we need to do is it says, look, x goes from -2 to 2. So with a ruler, you would draw yourself a y-axis down the middle, an x-axis across here. Now, if x is going from -2 to 2, I'm going to use plenty of space and put my x coordinates on like that. And I'm going to leave my y-axis for the moment, and I'll put those y coordinates on in a minute. So I need one of these, a table of values with x in the top row, y in the bottom row. It tells us the x values go from -2 to 2. So I've put those in, -2, 1, 0, 1, 2. And then I take these numbers and put them in to this expression here. Now I'm going to start with the easy ones. When x is 0, 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. When x is 1, 3 times 1, that's 3, plus 2, that's 5. When x is 2, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2, that's 8. 3 times -1 is -3, add 2, -3 add 2 is -1, and 3 times -2 is -6, add 2 is -4. So I'm taking each of these numbers and putting them in there. Now if I've got this right, look, there should be a nice pattern. Add 3, -4 add 3 is -1, -1 add 3 is 2, 2 add 3 is 5, 5 add 3 is 8. So it's add 3 along the bottom, and I've got that in a nice pattern, so far I've got it right. Now, the y values, look, now I've got them, they go from -4 up to 8. So as long as I get up to 8, then I've got plenty of room. -1, -2, -3, -4. And now let's plot the values. So from -2, -4, so -2 on the x-axis, -4 on the y-axis, there it is. -1, -1, so -1 on this axis and on this axis. 0, 2, so 0 across and 2 up. And can you see that as I'm plotting these, I'm getting a straight line, 2 across, 8 up. And then with a ruler, join the dots up, and you should find that they're all on a straight line. Okay, that's all of those questions.